Civilization 7 had the big showcase last week at Gamescom, and also content creators were finally able to talk about the game and their experience with it. And one of the big takeaways and features was clearly that you can now choose independently your leader and your civilization in Civ 7. And surprise, a lot of people didn't like that. Now, I have to admit, I was on the opposite side of this camp, especially when they also announced that you have to switch your civilization every era, so you have to choose a new one. And I was still thinking, you know what? That's actually a good idea. That's good from a gameplay and balance perspective because Civilization as a game series always had issue with exactly that. Civilizations which were too weak, too powerful in certain situations, and some civilizations which were just completely useless and nobody would play them. And that had to change. So when I first heard about this new feature, I was like, yeah, finally, this is a good idea. But you know what? I changed my mind because I was listening to the community and I was also talking to two people who actually played Civilization 7, and they could give me a better perspective of what they are doing with this feature. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I come to the conclusion, you know what? I think this is not a good idea. I think it is not a good idea that you are switching out the civilization, because why not do it the other way around, right? Like, why not keeping the lead? Why not switching out the leaders but keeping the civilization? I mean, the game is called Civilization and not Leaders. So the problem with that is, when you think about it a little bit more, is what do you do exactly with that? So let's say you stick with Egypt, right? You are keeping Egypt, but you are swapping out the leaders. When you're looking at the classical era, there are tons of leaders you can choose from, and it's pretty easy to find a leader you want to have in charge of Egypt. But the more you are going into the modern era, the more you're realizing, wait, what is a big like a leader Egypt had? And the answer is, well, there hasn't been really a lot. The second problem is a lot of those leaders come with a lot of baggage. And the third problem is Egypt as an independent country didn't exist for prolonged periods of time throughout history because they have been occupied by some foreign forces, right? And this goes for many, many countries out there. Or let's have a look at the USA. The USA didn't exist for a long time. So how can you already play the USA? Like, what leader do you put there in the classic times when you play the USA? Right? Like, this is a bit of a what if problem if they would just switch out the leaders instead of the civilizations. It is so much harder to find just leaders which have been dead for many years, who don't come with a lot of baggage, and, well, which have been around at certain times, right? So I don't really think that the idea of switching out the leaders instead of the civilization is feasible. But you know what would have been feasible? If they would have just changed the balance so that the civilization at any given point has something going for them. Let's stick with Egypt, right? Like, Egypt would have been so easy. You could have had Egypt in the classic era really good at building monuments, building wonders, and also giving a lot of food to their population. Then you would have had the era of discovery, where they are focusing more on trading and like the mercantile power Egypt could have. And then, of course, you have the modern era, if they are still using the system, by the way. But let's say Egypt could have been really good with saying, okay, you know what? We have like the pyramids, we have like all this history. We are now really, really good with tourists, right? Like, tourists could have been the main point for the modern Egypt. And so every era, Egypt could have had something they are good at. They don't have to fall behind. That was the decision of Phyrexis over the years to say, yeah, we want that civilizations are good and bad in certain eras instead of trying to balance them throughout the eras. So, why didn't they do that for Civilization 7? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below why they might not have done that. I have a thought on this, but I will admit it is a very, very cynical point of view. And it's because I have been working in this industry for over 12 years. I've been playing video games for 25 years. And it's to sell you more DLC, to make more money. Because that's how they can sell you independent leaders and independent nations. And they can make more money in the end. So this wasn't a gameplay decision, this was a money decision. But again, that's my cynical take, and I'm hoping I'm absolutely wrong on this. And when we are playing this game, it will come to us and we will realize, oh, that's why they did that. That was a smart decision. I hope that's what will happen. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And also, if you want to see more Civ videos, and also this channel is focusing on strategy games, you came to the right place and you might want to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.